Well, good morning, everyone. What is it today? Wednesday, March 19th. Let's see, we're getting things moving here. All righty. Got the chat up. Oh, turn that off. Okay. So, how is everybody today? Send me a message in the chat. Let me know where you're located so I can say good morning. Well, there we have Sarge, one of our subscribers. Good morning, Sarge. Valerie James is here. Good morning, Valerie. Susie Kabloozy is here. Good morning, Susie. Big Brian is here. Good morning, brother. Glad you could make it. Valerie James is in Colorado. S. Southard is here. Glad you are here, S. Southard. Richie is here. Excuse me, from San Antonio, Texas. We have Rick from Florida. Tina is here. Good morning, Tina. We have Don the Third G, one of our subscribers is here. Scratch 65 is here. Good morning, one of our subscribers. Share Baby 29 is here. Good morning, Share. Glad you could make it. Share, she's in a feisty mood this morning. Oh boy, we better be careful here. This is going to be good. I think I saw Dave. Hold on one second. I'm trying to bring Dave on. Let's see. There we go. All righty. I think we've got Dave coming on now.
Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
How we doing?
Well, doing pretty darn well. How about yourself? I think we lost your...
A little bit of rain, a little bit of hail.
Yeah. I think we lost your video.
All right, hold on.
Coming on. There we go. All right. Well, let me do some house clean. There we go. Hi, Dave.
How we doing?
Good, thanks. So we have, excuse me, Tina is here. Good morning, Tina. Don, the Third G, as I said, is here. Share Baby 29. Tracy Fagan is here from Ireland. Good morning, Tracy. Glad you could make it. Tumbleweed 325 from Tennessee. Welcome, Tumbleweed. Violet said a heartbeat. Thank you so much, Violet. Rick, yeah, we're going to get to that XRP thing here in a minute. So we have lots to go over as usual today, Dave. If you would keep an eye out for Alex and for James. Apparently, I haven't heard back from Alex, but James said he was going to make it. So if you see him, can you bring him on?
I sure will.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. We can only do our best. All right. So it looks like we're live on everywhere. Let's see if you are on X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. Send me a message in the chat. Say hello. Let me know where you are located. Okay, so, boy, hey, there we go. James is here. There we go. Let me see here. There we go. All right. I think he's coming on. Uh-oh, he's got the Apache helicopters.
That's a good sign, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, James. Glad you could make it, brother.
Yes, sir. Wouldn't miss it. Big day.
Big day. Oh, man, so much going on, you guys. Well, what do you guys think? You know, give me the 10-cent tour of what you're thinking today, Dave.
Well,
yeah, no smoking QQ, is there at all?
Well,
not yet.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it looks to me like I haven't had a lot of time to research it, but it looks like the files that were released yesterday is drawing a very close connection to the three-letter agency that we think is responsible, and that one country that begins with the letter I and ends with the letter L. So I think that in and of itself is significant.
You can't rule out the State Department. I read plenty of it, and I think the State Department had their hands in it too.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to go deep and wide. And President Trump retruthed something this morning talking about bringing the 2020 situation back up into the public's top of mind, which I think is interesting.
Well, I think Alex is going to be a little bit depressed today because when he gets into President Kennedy's right-hand man, which was Arthur Schlesinger, the 15 pages that were involved with that were redacted. And I remember that yesterday on the live that Alex he had mentioned unredacted probably at least 5 times. So, there's a lot of documents in there that I've already seen that are already redacted. So are we going to get the unredacted files?
Well, my guess is it'll probably be the same as the Epstein files, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I don't know. But again, we have to bring the temperature up slowly because people will flip out if we don't. So we have 11 Bravo 20 is here from Illinois. Hey, 6U is here. Good morning, 6U. Tranny 2 is here. Good morning. Excuse me. We have Purple Haze is here. S. Southard said, looks to me like Obama selected judges' agendas to stop our current administration are forward motion. Well, I think that's why President Trump enacted the Aliens Act of 1787 or 1791. I think that's part of what's going on there. We have Christy B, one of our subscribers here this morning. Good morning, Christy B. Full-blooded Patriot is here. Good morning, full-blooded. Glad you could make it. So, hey, everybody on TikTok, if you would double tap that screen, share this live out. If you'd like to contribute to our daily goal, which is friendship bracelets, I thought I'd mix it up today and do that. And also, we do have subscriptions available. Oh, and that's something else. I want everybody to know who has subscribed to this channel on TikTok. I do follow everyone back who is a subscriber. So if you see a follow back from me, it's the real me. It's not one of the fake accounts. But keep in mind, it's Sam_Shalhoub. So if you do decide to become a subscriber, or you've already become a subscriber, I will be following you back if I haven't already. So just so you know, I just want everybody to be aware that it's actually me that's following you back. So Christy B just sent a bunch of friendship bracelets. Thank you, Christy B. Big Red just sent some tiny dinies. Thanks, Big Red. Tina said, I already have 50 of you. I know, it's so true, Tina. They're everywhere. And now I'm being knocked off on Facebook. I'm being knocked off on X. And, of course, TikTok is ridiculous as amount of, and YouTube as well. So, just be aware of, if you go to samshalhoub.com, you'll see all of the platforms that I'm listed on. You can click on each one and it'll show you the authentic channel for that particular platform. So, all right, guys, well, let's dig in here. We have, first up, IRS whistleblowers that squashed Hunter Biden's laptop deal have now they were kicked off and ostracized, and now they've been put in leadership positions at the Treasury Department. Boy, talk about a boomerang. Oh my gosh. How great is that?
Yeah, that's insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a whole lot more of that going forward. James, what are your thoughts?
110 on that. I'm troubled by a lot of things. And how did they get there?
How did who get where?
How did they get to the State Department? Or how did they get to the Treasury Department?
Well, I mean, I think we all know that the nefarious people that have controlled the levers of power for decades are doing some crazy things. And now that Doge is involved, now that President Trump is involved, we have got a lot more that's coming, is all I can say. And it doesn't surprise me that it's going to be a rebound, or I should say a boomerang effect, when it comes to people that were in power or people that were whistleblowers getting removed from their positions and now coming back in. I mean, I think we have some serious disclosure about to take place.
Well, if it's an emergency, all equipment has a red stop button on it. Don't you think it's going to be all at once? The stop button is going to get pushed?
That's a good question. I don't pretend to know how it's going to play out, James. I just think that we are in a place where a lot more is coming. Oh, it looks like we have Alex here. I just sent you an invite, Alex. Did it not go through?
And Sam, I wanted to tell you your flag's backwards, too.
Oh, boy. I always forget that. Sorry, guys.
That's right.
There we go. All right. I think I got it now.
Yep.
Alex,
I keep do that. I got a really nice flag, but I don't have the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, I know, right? Alex, I don't know what's going on, but I have brought you on a couple times, and it's I don't know if maybe you can't come on today, but I did send you the invitation. Oh, Kayla, Southeast Arkansas said your flags backwards. Okay, I got it fixed, I think. So let me see. I think it's a little bit off too. There we go. How's that? There we go. I think, well, no. Well, we're having a little bit of technical issues here, you guys, but I think we're getting there. All right, good. Hey, Franny Dragonfly is here. Good morning, Franny Dragonfly. Oh, okay. Alex says he can't make it on today. Well, we hope all is well, Alex. I hope everything's okay with your mom. So, all right. So let's see here. We've got, what do we have up next, you guys? We have, according to Zero Hedge, U.S. building permits sank for the third straight month. Are we looking at a significant development when it comes to the economy? It sure looks that way to me. And then, let's not forget, this morning it was announced that SEC has dropped the case against Ripple. And last time I looked, it looks like it's skyrocketing right now. I mean, I'm going up fairly quick. I think it was up 14% before we went live this morning. So I think that's a pretty significant deal. And then we have, the building permits going down. What do you guys make of that? What do you think in terms of the economy, James?
Well, it's interesting when you look at just the news of Ripple catapulting, and I'm going to use XRP because that is my favorite, 25 cents in a matter of hours. But the part that's interesting to me is when Forbes predicted, with all the information that was coming down the pike, Forbes predicted a $58,000 per coin XRP, and it was taken down immediately. And Zach Rector is the guy that has a video about that, and he mentions Brad Garlinghouse, and Brad Garlinghouse was on this morning talking about XRP and where it's going to go. And this is probably the ignition switch that we needed to see. A lot of people were apprehensive about making any predictions with the SEC case hanging over Ripple's head. Right. And now that that's been dropped, it looks like it's all systems go. It
sure looks that way to me as well, James. But again, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Susie Kabluzi is here, one of our subscribers. Good morning, Susie. So did you guys hear about talking about the economy and the monetary system? Did you hear that the Indonesian stock market was halted, that they've had the biggest loss since 9/11? I mean, that's a significant development because, as we all know, most of the monetary systems around the world via the central banks are interconnected. If one goes down, they're all going to go down at some point, or they're at least going to adjust significantly. Dave, can you pull up what the stock market's at today?
Yep, I just had it on here. The Dow Jones was up 258 points at this point.
Okay, what about the NASDAQ?
The S&P is up $41.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Well, we had Wall Street Mavs came out yesterday and said that inflation rates are declining under President Trump. So we've got inflation rates declining. We have eggs prices going down. We have gas and crude oil going down. And yet we still have people out there bitching and complaining that things aren't happening fast enough. Well, I get it. I understand the impatience, but the reality is we are seeing a lot of good things happen. And I think we're just at the beginning. I mean, obviously we're at 60 days or something like that. I don't see, I think we have a lot more coming.
NASDAQ's up 210 on the day.
Oh, interesting. 6U said 81 congressmen have fired Cash as ATF director. I haven't heard that, 6U. Maybe you can give us some more details on there, or Dave, maybe you could pull something up. I don't know.
Yeah, see what I find
here. Yeah, I haven't heard about that. It wouldn't surprise me, but Brenda for Trump is here. Good morning, Brenda. Glad you could make it. So again, if you're on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out. Let's get a bunch of people piled in here. And as I've said, we have a daily goal of friendship bracelets. If you'd like to contribute, that would be great. And we do have subscriptions available. And again, I want everyone to know, if you do subscribe to this channel on TikTok, I will be following you back. It's the real me, Sam_Shalhoub, not one of the fake accounts. If you're on X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble, give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation button. and send us a message in the chat. Let us know where you're located. You find anything there, Dave?
Yeah, it's just coming up now. It says Democrats asked Trump to remove Patel as acting ATF director.
Oh, so it was the
So
Dems. Yeah,
yeah, that was
interesting.
yesterday.
That was yesterday. Okay. And that's surprising. Doesn't surprise me at all. They're going to push back, but I don't think they have the juice anymore.
No.
So yesterday in Just the News, we all are familiar with Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Well, apparently it was supposed to cost $370 billion. It looks like the latest estimates on what it's going to cost is up to $5 trillion. Now, when we talk about Doge and what they're exposing in terms of fraudulent payments, in terms of pork being sent out, foreign aid being sent out, I've got to think that President Trump is going to target this specifically and do away with it. And again, it's a process. It's going to happen over a period of time, but it sure looks to me like this is prime real estate for him to go after. What do you guys think, James?
I'm gonna pass on that one right now. My thought process was looking at something else.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Dave, what's your thoughts?
It's going to be interesting to see what direction it goes. Obviously, any Democratic thing is always high. It's always higher in the tail end of it. And are they patting their pockets on the backside almost on every project?
Of course.
You know, look at the train rail, your train out in California that's still sitting idle out there. How much money?
Yeah, I think. Well, last time it was 30. I think it was 32 billion the first round, and then they raised another 10 or 20 billion. We don't even have the train, and they've taken it from going from Riverside to Vegas, from LA to Vegas, from LA to Bakersfield, and now apparently it's only going to go from Bakersfield to Riverside, and that's it. And they're trying to raise another 40, 50, 60 billion dollars to accomplish. It just is mind-blowing what these people are trying to do. And we had Governor Newsom, and I use that term loosely, on his podcast. It's interesting that he had Charlie Kirk on first. He had Steve Bannon on second. And all of these are MAGA supporters. It looks to me like Newsom understands that he's in a very precarious position and is trying to get on the right side of history. What do you guys think?
Yeah, he's between a rock and a hard place right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Sam, to answer your previous question to me and your previous topic about this waste, it's kind of like the road built going nowhere. It ends with a bridge, and it's where are we going to go with this road? Why was it ever built? Right. And I think the part that's troubling for most is we want to see the result, but there's so many stall tactics involved. And Dave and I talked about this yesterday privately about where things are going, what structures were put into place, but I'm not sure about the actual number today, but it used to be that in the senatorial division or in Congress, all the Democrats were lawyers and only 2 Republicans were lawyers. Mm-hmm. But they figured a stopgap in everything, in every facet where money is going, where it's spent. They've made it almost impossible to address the subject matter face on because there's so many roadblocks.
Right. Exactly.
That's why we can't just jump on it and stop it. We have to go through 50 roadblocks to get to it.
Well, and I think that begs the question in terms of the Chevron deference that the Supreme Court passed. That's going to blow out all that bureaucracy, all the red tape. And I believe that's going to pave the way for our economy to just skyrocket. At least that's what it looks like at this point, combined with the bureaucracies getting blown out, federal spending being cut dramatically, foreign aid that's been sent out to, Uganda for condoms, all going away. I think it all equals to an explosive economy. At least at this point, that's the way it looks like it's shaping up. Scratch 65 said enough of the fraud. I agree, Scratch. Absolutely. Hey, Lisa Maria's here. Good morning, Lisa Maria. Excuse me. Joy said Newsom is just lying. Exactly. I agree. I think Newsom is nefarious. I think he has been for a long time. I think that he understands that people understand that's what he is. And that's why he's trying to get on the right side of history. But it's not going to work. He's done, in my opinion. Or he's going to get replaced in a way that is going to be very public. We'll have to see how it plays out. So we have Byron Moore, 785 said, Sam, would you buy XRP from Kraken? Well, Byron, I don't use Kraken. I use, for Bitcoin, I use Swan Bitcoin. And for XRP, I have a couple different accounts. You can always go to samshalhoub.com. You can book an appointment directly with me, and I'll walk you through all those processes. We have Alabama Beagle saying, so you like USA being isolated? No, I don't think it's a matter of isolation. I think it's a matter of putting America first. Just like Putin should be putting Russia first. Just like Kim Jong-un should be putting North Korea first. Just like Xi Jinping should be putting China first. We have to, the people that lead those countries and lead this country should have their own country's best interest at heart first. But again, that seems to me to be just basic critical thinking and logical thinking. So no, I don't believe that we are isolationists. I think that we are building our strength, peace through strength. And part of that strength not only comes from the military, but it comes from the economy. And I believe that's the direction that we're going. Lisa Pritchard is here. Good morning, Lisa. So the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. We talked a lot about the Social Security scam and what's been going on there. Well, it looks like they have identified 3.2 million number holders, all listed as of 120 years or older, and now they've marked them as deceased. Dave, do you have a quick calculator there? What's 3.2 million times, say, let's just say $1,000? Tell me what that number is.
Let's see what I got here.
Yeah, because I mean, that's just the first phase of the exposure. At 3.2 million times $1,000, that's got to be what, 3 billion?
Probably more than that.
Yeah, well, over 3. If we did it with 3 million, yeah. That's several billion.
3,200,000,000,000.
Yeah.
Is it that much?
Yes, sir. Just add the 3 zeros to 3.2 million.
Wow. Trillions of dollars being. Now, the question is, how are they going to claw that back? Because I can't imagine that President Trump or Doge or anybody else in the administration is going to allow that to happen. But 3.2 million number holders proven to be fraudulent at 120 years old. That's a big number.
Well, somebody's the recipient of that money, and this is only one block. This is the 120-year-old batch. There was 4 groups of age groups, 4 different age groups that were receiving in excess of, I think their total number was 3,400,000, 3,500,000, 3,700,000. And if there's 4 groups to that, that's $12 trillion right there. But there's a trail. That money got deposited somewhere, and they can go take a good look for it. And I'm sure they're on it.
Right. Exactly. Vonnie Darling over on Facebook said, no mail today. Blizzard on the eastern plains of Colorado. Wow. I didn't know that they were having a blizzard. Did you hear anything about that, Dave?
Yeah, western Iowa is going to have up to 12 inches and 30 to 40 mile-an-hour winds.
Wow. Is that considered a big storm for them?
Especially this late in the season, but it's not unusual.
Interesting.
It's not unusual.
Interesting. Amy asked, how is Alex's mom? Well, we don't have an update this morning, Amy. Our prayers are with him and his family and his mom, but that may be part of the reason why he wasn't able to join us. We haven't been able to connect offline, but I'm sure we'll get an update at some point. So if you're on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out. We do have our daily goal today of friendship bracelets. I thought I'd mix it up and do something a little different. And we do have subscriptions available. And again, if you are subscribed to my TikTok account or you do subscribe, I will be following you back. And it's the original me, the real me on TikTok. And there's dozens of fake ones, but just keep an eye out for that. I want to keep that line of communication open with my subscribers because we're going to be doing some really fun stuff together. So we have, Hey Now said, wow, snow in Colorado and Iowa. Yeah, well, there's a lot going on there. Hey, Dark Horse is here. Good morning, one of our subscribers. Good morning, Dark Horse. Glad you could make it, brother. Brenda Fertrone said, everyone has to tap so Sam will dance. Well, unfortunately today we don't have Alex here to run the YMCA song, but maybe Dave can if we get to 50,000. But we'll just have to see how it plays out. Hey, we have 80 Deuce Cabs here. Good morning, 80 Deuce. Glad you're here, brother. We have, Valerie Morse Jenkins just subscribed. Welcome, Valerie. Glad you could be one of our subscribers. We have ShareBaby29, a subscriber, said, why do they always copy us but a year or two behind us? I'm not sure what you're referring to, ShareBaby. Give me some details there. Lisa Maria, a subscriber, said, rain all last night and snowfall in Nebraska. Craziest weather. Wow. Doesn't surprise me. Hey, and we just got an update from Alex. He said, Mom is comfortable and surrounded by family and love. Oh, our prayers and our good thoughts to you, Alex, and your family, and Allie Mae and your mom. Just nothing but the best for you guys. We have you in our prayers. So Valerie Morse Jenkins just sent a friendship bracelet. Thank you, Valerie. So let's talk a little bit about Google. Google making the largest cash purchase they've ever made. It's a cybersecurity company called Wiz, W-I-Z. I guess they haven't heard about Alex's company yet, so we got to get them on the train and get Alex's
get him to buy out.
Get him to buy Alex out, exactly. Risk Tool is Alex's company, and so if you're listening, Google, Risk Tool can be bought for the right price. Just reach out to Alex or reach out to me and make him a cash offer. But again, $32 billion cash offer for a company that's the biggest they've ever done. Are we seeing more of a contraction of the high-tech companies? What do you guys think?
Yeah, they're producing. I think Google and Meta are building 2 facilities just south of me, about 4 or 5 miles. They purchased the land for $42,000 an acre south of us here in Iowa.
Google did?
Google and Meta have two facilities here. Yeah.
What are they doing there? Are they server farms or?
I don't know. That's a good question. I just know they spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
the report that I read this morning, Sam, said 38 billion.
Oh, is it 38 billion? Oh, maybe I got it wrong.
Report I read.
Interesting. Well, over $30 billion. That's a lot of scratch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Susie Kabluzzi, one of our subscribers, said prayers to Alex and his family. Thank you, Susie. Yeah, I'm sure he appreciates it. He's such a good guy. So let's see. Let's get to the next one. We have next up. Oh, Trump canceling Hunter Biden's Secret Service protection and Ashley Biden's detail as well. I mean, the guy is claiming that he's broke, yet he's out in some exotic areas spending money on vacation. I mean, what do you guys make of that? That's just an insult upon injury.
Yeah, I think he's in South Africa, I think. Maybe he's selling some more fancy paintings and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. $500,000 for crap.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to go somewhere to bury that or dig up the buried money. I mean, it's just it's coming.
It's mind-blowing that people cannot see that someone who has virtually no talent when it comes to painting is able to sell his paintings for $500,000, $2 million. I mean, it's just mind-blowing to me that anybody doesn't see that is some sort of nefarious activity that's taking place. Don't you guys think? I mean, my gosh.
Yeah. It shows you the battle we're against and how much corrupt everything is.
Exactly.
Blue Eyes asked, canceling an ex-president's security, is that legal? How do we know the man's even alive?
Right.
And if you canceled a security detail on a man that's not alive, how could that not be legal?
Right.
Right. Exactly. And again, President Trump truthing out last night or this morning, I forget what it was, talking about the possible exposure, which I think is probable, of the 2020 election. I mean, there is a major disconnect when it comes to the legitimacy of the 2020 election. President Trump is, if he's truthing that out, that means it's coming. And I think it's probably coming soon. Hey, we have Choose Your Poisons here. Good morning, Choose Your Poison. Glad you could make it. Tina said they're like finger paints. Isn't that the truth? But again, it's not the paintings themselves. The fact that the paintings like that are being sold for $500,000, $1 million. I just don't see how the normies don't understand how crazy that is. And I think they probably do at a subconscious level, but I think their cognitive dissonance is so high that they just can't put the pieces together yet. And I think that's partly why this is rolling out as slowly as it is.
I was looking up the protocol for the Secret Service for the presidents and mainly for the children, and they receive lifelong security protection, whereas their children are guaranteed protection under the age of 16. So, as long as you're not the president, once you're out, they're guaranteed up to 16, and then they're on their own.
Yeah. So why in the hell is he even being covered? Right. Exactly. Right. Thanks, Dave. So we've got some trolls in the chat, but I'm going to repeat this one. This one said that Harry 2000 said Biden was better in every way than Trump has been in 1 week. You've got to be kidding me. I would like to see some receipts on that, Harry. What can you point to that would show that Biden was in any way more effective than President Trump? It's laughable.
That has to be Harry Sisson. It has to be Harry Sisson.
Yeah, I don't know who the heck it is, but it's laughable in my opinion. Share Baby said, sorry. Kathy Lee 2425 said, I've never understood why we provide security for ex-presidents. Well, my guess would be that, hey, we got a hat and mustache. My guess would be that because of national security concerns, that they would want to protect most former presidents because of what they know. But their kids, I don't know, man. Dave just read it out. Read that one more time, Dave, would you?
It says that the former presidents and their spouses, except when the spouse remarries, receive lifelong security service protection, whereas their children are guaranteed protection under the age of 16. Interesting.
Well, there it is, black and white, or color, whichever you're looking at. Dark Horse said to 6U that, and so is my 6-year-old. I must have missed that one. Hey, Old School Smooth is here. Good morning, Old School. Valerie James said he's on ice. Wouldn't surprise me, Valerie. I think that there's, as I've said many times, there's much more going on behind the scenes than than most normies realize. And as that is,
if you go back to what she said about he's on ice, a good example would be Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She disappeared. They put a double in for 2 years, and then they finally announced she died. Come on.
Right. Exactly. They use it to clog up the news narrative, in my opinion, and they've done that for forever. So it's not surprising to me. Glenn said that Trump 2028, they're looking to run again. That's a very interesting perspective, Glenn. I've seen a lot about that. And here's my take on it. When 2020 is exposed and the truth comes out and everything that Biden did is proven fraudulent because of what took place in 2020, we're in a constitutional crisis. How does that play out? Where do we go from there? I don't think anybody knows. We can all speculate. We can say, oh, this might happen or that might happen. But according to the Constitution, a president can serve 10 years. It just so happens that we have 2 4-year terms right now, but a president can serve 10 years. Now, if you throw into that mix that when 2020 is exposed, what happens to those 4 years that were obfuscated from President Trump? I don't know where that goes. What do you guys think, James?
I don't believe it counts against the 10-year term. If it did, it would only mean that he was elected for 2 years in this go around. The presidential, I believe it was martial law through that 4 years. I don't believe Biden was served a day in that 4-year term. I think it was martial law the entire time. And I think the reason that they let it go like that, all the rest of the Republicans and the presidential team of President Trump, is they had to flush out the pheasant. They had to get the rat out of the sewer. And I think that's why they allowed martial law, and we never really knew it. If Derek Johnson, if you go follow him and you look at what Derek Johnson has to say about it, Biden was never president.
Right. And the other argument to that is I agree with you. I don't think he was in terms of what we've come to know as presidents. But if you look at the Act of 1871 and the United States Corporation, you could argue that he was the president of that defunct corporation and President Trump was still the CIC. Either way you look at it, there is plenty of information and proof that something needs to happen based on what took place in 2020. I just don't know how it's going to play out. Hey, Secret Squirrel's here. Thank you for the hat and mustache, Secret Squirrel. Valerie Morse just sent a hand heart. Thank you. And Secret Squirrel also sent a baseball cap. Thanks so much. Lisa Maria, this subscriber, said, Harry is delusional. And the real Alex came back and said, Harry can't talk here anymore. Thanks, Alex. Love it. Absolutely love it. It is so nice to have you guys with mods because it surely helps everything. Secret Squirrel said they used the stiff Joe for 4 years. Exactly. Proving and showing people what has been happening or what took place. Chief Justice said, trust the process. I agree. There is a plan here in place, much deeper than most people realize. It's moving in a direction where we have to wake up the normies. We got to get them open. And even the mega normies, they still have, a ways to go in terms of what they understand to be true. So as we move forward, I think we're going to see a lot of it. Oh, Dark Horse, one of our subscribers said what he was referring to as his 6-year-old is an accomplished artist, better than Hunter. Boy, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Old School Smooth said null and void. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how that's going to play out. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Hey, Dark Horse, Adam, if you want to come on, let me know. I'll bring you on the screen. We've had some conversations offline, and I'd be happy to bring you on if you'd like to come on. Old School Smooth said, I agree. Absolutely. Old School Smooth also said that they don't want civil unrest. I think that's spot on. I think President Trump could have stayed in office in 2020 legally. I think that the reason he chose not to do that was specifically for that purpose. Had he done that at that point, we would have had or could have had a civil war. And I don't think anybody in the administration wants that. They always have the safety of the American people top on their priority list. All right, everybody. So we have, if you're on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out. If you'd like to contribute to our daily friendship bracelet, that would be wonderful. And again, we do have subscriptions on TikTok. And again, when you do subscribe, I'm going to follow you back. I should have already followed everybody back who subscribed, but it is truly me following you back, just so you know. And if you're on X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble, give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation button. It would be appreciated. Dark Horse also said, I believe the Brunson case will determine the Trump presidency term. That could very well be true. Dark Horse, that absolutely could be true. And I did reach out to Lloyd Brunson on TikTok to see if I could get him on. We'll see whether he responds. Choose Your Poison just sent a whole bunch of friendship bracelets. Thank you. Chin Ray sent a heart me and some friendship bracelets. Lisa Marie sent a bunch of friendship bracelets. Thank you, Lisa Maria. Get Jenny Stallings sent a heart me. Thank you so much. We have I don't know. Okay, we got some trolls in here. I got to watch how I say some of these. Hey, Robin Keel's here, one of our subscribers. Hey, Robin, glad you could make it. Old School Smooth said
I think they do that, Sam, just so you get trouble and get booted. I really believe they create a new name to get you in trouble by saying their name. I believe that because it's every day.
It could be, man, and I fell for it hook, line, and sinker on YouTube yesterday. Man, that one got me by surprise as I'm thinking through it in my mind. As I've just said it, I'm like, wait a minute, I can't say that.
That's when me and Alex started giggling.
Yeah, exactly. You guys caught it way before I did, man. That just went right over my head. Dark Horse said he's going to put on a shirt and he's going to come join us. Great. Tina said, I hope everything is okay with Alex. His family are in my prayers. Yes, he said that mom is resting comfortably. It sounds like they have their hands full, to say the least. But so far, we're getting updates from Alex on a regular basis. And as I said, all of our prayers are going out to him and his family. All righty, so let's see here. We've got next on the hit list. Oh, all right, here we go, you guys. Maybe we should wait for Dark Horse on this one because this one's going to be interesting. Hold on one second here. Let me see if I can get this. Hold on one second, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Don, thank you for Don the Third G. Thank you for sending that. Let's see here. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, Valerie just asked about the Doge money. Will that get through Congress?
Well, I believe yes, it will. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get Dark Horse here. Bear with me, everybody. As most of you know, I have this setup here where there are hoops that I have to jump through. I don't know why I can't bring Dark Horse up.
Has he got enough followers?
Well, I thought you only had to have 250 now.
Yeah, I think that sounds right for what follower-wise.
Okay, well, let me see if I can do it some other way here. Lisa Maria just sent a whole bunch of heart me's. Thank you, Lisa Maria. Don the Third G is here. He sent a bunch of friendship bracelets. Thank you so much, Don the Third G. Alex said that Dark Horse will have to request up. His account is private. So, Dark Horse, if you can request to come on, I'll bring you on. But I don't know. I've tried to bring you on. It won't let me. So you're going to have to request to come on. All right. So this next article that we're going to talk a little bit about, you guys, is the NASA astronauts returning home yesterday.
I've been waiting patiently for that.
I knew you would be, James. And it's too bad that Alex isn't here because I even mentioned in the Daily Dispatch that Alex and I had an interesting time yesterday with this particular subject, as well as what is her name? The gal who
he says, Alex says no.
Yeah, I know. But we had another guest with us, Jen Talk was on with us, and she was just a blast to have on. And Jen, if you're out there and you want to come on, or Captain, you're out there and want to come on, just let me know. So, Tracy Fagan, thank you for the Dolphins. So, all right, we're going to talk a little bit about this NASA thing, okay? Now, there was several anomalies. First of all, I find it hard to believe that they were supposed to be up there. What was it, you guys? A couple of weeks, a month? I don't know.
Eight days.
8 to 9 days.
Okay. How do you have somebody that's supposed to be up there for only 8 to 9 days stay up there for 6 to 8 months? Water supply, food supply, oxygen supply. How does that make sense? Now, I mean,
food supply, number one. I mean, you're going for 9 days, potentially 10, but they have all of a sudden a reserve food supply that's going to feed them for 286 days.
Goldilocks 17.
Do you have enough toilet paper on board for that, Sam?
You think? Oh my gosh. Goldilocks 17 said it was all so fake. It sure looked that way to me. And if you take, all right, so you have the two people that they showed helping with the landing, supposedly. And those two numbers, if you take them and you add up all the numbers, it came out to 17. I found that very interesting, number one. Then you had, let me see, let me just pull this up because I have it all listed out. And this is a hat tip to Dave over at News Treason and to True Stormy Patriot Joe. I mean, these guys are the best diggers in the business, and Joe Rambo as well. All of those guys are, my hats are off to them. But this one came from Dave at News Treason. It was 17 and 27 were the loading crew wearing those two numbers. If you add up those numbers, it equals 17. The descent took 17 hours. The speed was 17,000 miles per hour. The splashdown was at 5:57. 5 plus 5 plus 7 is 17. Now, I don't believe for a second that we had that many coincidences in one specific event in the news stream. What do you guys think?
And that's not all of them. The landing pad, the helipad on the boat was 17.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to add that.
I said that to you. I'm like,
you did.
Just that alone, I'm like, what in the heck?
Right. Oh, here we go. Here's Alex's rebuttal. Alex says the contingency plan, folks, and the International Space Station is well stocked and you can get supplies. Very good perspective. It's possible. I didn't hear anything about them docking with it and transferring supplies, but an 8-day stay prolonged to 6 to 8 months. I don't know. It seems suspicious to me.
That must have been a hell of a carry-on they took.
Yeah, Mushroom said they had a bidet instead of toilet paper.
Nice. So the other interesting part about that is if you go through a few of the different posts that are out there on quite a few different platforms, one of the interesting things is how do they get, if there's only two of them up there, how do they get a news reporter to do an interview with them? Does he show up with the food? You know, or what are we doing there with the food? Is that the guy that brings it and he just happens to be a newscaster?
I don't know.
You brought up a good thing, Sam. You know, you're talking about 17,000 miles an hour. Terminal velocity is 120 miles an hour. If it took them 17 hours to get back 254 miles, that would be 14.94 miles an hour. How does that add up?
I don't think it does, personally.
But if you want the real caveat of my take on the whole deal, if anybody had bothered to check yesterday about the time that capsule came into view on the cameras, did anybody bother to go look at FlightAware and see if there was any big jets capable of kicking out a capsule out the back end, like a C-5 or C-141 or any other big aircraft with a tailgate?
Very good point, James.
They only took it into view, and all of a sudden, oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, right.
Very good point. And, you know, they're saying, so now somebody in the chat says, so now we're not going to be trusting Elon. I don't think that's the point. I think the point is SpaceX came to the rescue. No matter whether it was fake or whether it was real, I think the point was SpaceX came to the rescue. NASA dropped the ball. The narrative is NASA dropped the ball and SpaceX picked the ball up and took it to the goal line. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, it had to have been a political stunt. I mean, for sure. I mean, if there's any way to sling manure from Trump to Biden, that was a number one. Right,
exactly. It's all about narrative control. And I think that narrative was masterfully crafted. I mean, people like us, we get it. We understand the holes in it. But for the normie population, I think that was masterful.
It would be interesting to see Alex's take on the 17,000 miles an hour coming 254 miles or whatever it was on how that works.
Oh, wait a minute. Alex just said, wait a minute. Alex just said, let me up. Hold on. Here he comes, everybody. Buckle your seatbelts because here he is.
Before he gets too wild, the only one other question I want to know is, along with the food, do they allow women astronauts to bring black hair dye to go from gray to black before they land on the ground.
Hi, Alex.
Okay, first question for you three gentlemen.
Here it comes.
Where were the stranded astronauts? Where were they stranded?
I would think in the space station, right?
The International Space Station.
Right.
They weren't stranded in a little bitty capsule floating around the world for what should have been an 8-day trip. This isn't Gilligan's Island. It's the International Space Station. It has multiple pods and redundancies, and I mean, so that solves your question about supplies for what was supposed to be a 3-day tour. Okay. As far as trajectory and math and re-entry and the way that those things works, it's not from the ground straight up, right? Because you're coming in at angles which are very different. So I'm not going to go into all that, but you guys please think critically. Yes, there's some chicanery in some ways and sometimes, and some, yes, we're not looking at live footage because it's CGI, and I get all that, but we can't just jump off the cliff with the rest of the lemmings, okay?
I'm not suggesting that. I just think that there are anomalies that should be pointed out.
The space station has contingencies to be able to keep astronauts up there for years.
Does they have that much?
It's yes, and it's in the event that there was something catastrophic. Look, those guys are all, think about a pilot, right? A pilot has a checklist, and astronauts have checklists, and they have redundancies upon redundancies upon redundancies because, going back to whether you believe it happened or not, but the Apollo missions, like, we lost astronauts. Okay, people died. They burned up in those capsules, and I will argue with anybody that doesn't believe that. It happened, okay? So in that, there are lessons learned. And yes, the reality is we have more than 100,000 times the computing power in our hands, in our cell phones, than the technology that was used to take the first astronauts into space. So
I agree with that.
It's come a long ways.
I agree with that.
But don't go so far down the rabbit hole, man, that I got to jump on when I work.
We did that specifically to bring you on, Alex.
Bastards.
80 Deuce said DoorDash intergalactic deliveries. Steven Sackett said you guys are hilarious. Dark Horse said U2 high altitude planes. Well, I mean, again, depending upon whether it's
planes can only go to 70,000, 80,000 feet. The U2 spy plane.
Yeah. Hey, Agape Rescues Children's here. Hey, Stacy. She said, I truly believe that. I'm not sure what you believe, but if you want to expound upon that or you want to come up with us, that'd be great too. Let me see here if I can hold on one second, everybody.
And as to the hair dye question, look,
that's at least kind of suspicious though, right, Alex?
And if my wife tells me that she's got to have hair dye while she's in space, by God, she'll have it.
Exactly.
Nice, that's nice.
Daddy D.
I didn't quite have a response when I first saw that either. I was like, really?
Yeah.
But the only one thing that really troubled me about what I saw when they finally did access the capsule is their flight suits. Their helmets looked like they were made out of something from Mattel. They had no oxygen provided to them. Every other capsule that's come down there in some 5-wire suit that looks like it's a real authentic something good. But those suits they were wearing yesterday, nah, you couldn't get me to bite on that one.
Well, you couldn't get me to bite on a 2-inch by 3-inch box that has jumper cables on it would jump a frickin' semi truck. So who knows what their new SpaceX spacesuits are capable of. I'm not saying that you're wrong or that you're right, but man, technology has come a really long ways, and they've done some pretty amazing things with compression suits for flight. and high altitude flight for just pilots.
Well, see, and I think you guys, that's what makes this gathering of minds so special, because we can have different opinions. We can look at it from different perspectives, but we do it in a way that's polite and kind and open-minded. That's what I love about this group we have here, and with everybody watching, because yeah, we're going to have our different opinions, and that's cool, but we don't attack one another. And I, for one, am just so grateful for that.
You guys give me gray hair over all this.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with putting a burr under the saddle, because, you know, it's animosity, it's fun, and, you know, we don't hold a grudge.
No, of course not. Of course not.
And Alex, you can borrow some of that hair dye then.
Sam doesn't get mad. He gets
No, no. Daddy
You know,
D,
Alex,
Daddy D,
Alex,
one of
you
our
bring up a
subscribers
really
said,
good point.
what's that,
You
James?
bring up a good point. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Alex, I just got to ask you, when we talk about technology, can you explain the phone call from the first flight to the moon in 1969, how President Nixon was able to talk to the spaceship? I'm just mildly curious.
How I used to do it with my girlfriends that were on, states away was I'd just set the phone up next to the radio and we'd both listen to the same song.
Oh, interesting. Hey, let me do some house cleaning. Let me do some house cleaning, guys. Daddy D said it's Hollywood. He's a subscriber. Dark Horse said the ISS. I'm not sure what that means, Dark Horse. Let's see. We have
International Space Station. Hair salon.
Oh, international. Okay. Daddy D said the water station. We have Agape Rescues Children. Stacy said, "Hi Sam. I believe Space Force came to the rescue for the astronauts." Probably true. There's some truth there. Dark Horse said, "Let me up." Dark Horse, you have to request it because you have a private account, it looks like. So if you can request it, I'll certainly bring you up. Okay. Anyway, go ahead, guys.
And a fun fact, in low gravity, a woman who has a perm in her hair, it lasts longer.
Same with our boobs.
What was that?
My wife said the same with her boobs.
Allie Mae, what are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We are all doing well. We miss your husband, and we're so glad he made a guest appearance.
Oh, yeah.
We had a rough night.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys.
That's all right. It's all right. It's like my mom said last week. It's life. Nobody gets out alive.
Yeah, exactly. Dark Horse, again, I'm saw your message, but I'm not able to bring you on. Alice, can you see why I'm not able to?
I don't see the request in multi-guest, Dark. If you go down to the bottom where it says guests, click on guest and then hit request, and I'll honor your request.
Oh, here we go. I think I got it. Did that work?
Yep.
Hey, there he is.
There we go.
Hey, Adam, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing? This is hilarious.
Wait, yeah, we are just on. Okay, so let's hear your 2 cents.
I was just saying that whenever I hear about the ISS or International Space Station, all I can think about is the space station in Armageddon and the Russian that's running through there. That was what I was trying to say earlier.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
It's a fabulous movie.
All right, so let's do a survey here, you guys. Everybody in the audience, if you think it was a legitimate space shuttle launch and re-entry, put a 1. If you don't think it was legitimate, put a 2. So 1 legitimate, 2 illegitimate. Let's hear what everybody
I think
says.
it was a hybrid.
All right, here we go. We have Donna Freeman 2, Sherry 2, Goldilocks 17 2, Kever 2, Kathy Lee 1, Joy 1, Gordy Wheeler 2, Terry Dykus, a subscriber 2, the real Alex with about a zillion 1s, Stacy Houston 2, Tanya Moonsheimer 2, Sweet Cheeks 2. Let's see, wait a minute, I lost it.
Alex, you only get 1 vote.
Yeah, exactly. Heidi 2, NC Patriot 1, Jenny Stallings 2, M. Lee 1, Tina 1, Jason Ludlam 1, 2, Lynn 2, Secret Squirrel 3. You had to be different, didn't you, Secret Squirrel?
Undecided.
Undecided.
Squirrel's just here to get a nut.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Alex, I have a question for you. This pertains to your stranded astronauts. So they were in space for 286 days. That comprises of about 6,864 hours. If they went with the old policy and paid those astronauts $4 a day, that would come up to $1,144 in incidental pay. What do you think is fair for those astronauts to be paid for that time that they were held in space?
$1 million.
I think 200 Biden paintings.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So,
The longest single stay in space was by a Russian, which was 437 days on the space station.
Wow.
it was that long?
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
They
Well,
were describing some of the health problems they have after 6 months, I believe yesterday they were talking about.
It has all kinds of effects. So one of the astronauts now is a senator that they're twins. So they did the comparison.
Yep.
And Frank Rubio holds the record for the U.S. at 371 days.
Paco said no tax on overtime in space.
What
Exactly.
about hazard pay?
Exactly. So, Adam, you've been kind of quiet there. What do you think? Do you think it was legit or not?
Well, I'm going to say I kind of have a little bit of a different take on it at this point. I think that there was a legitimate one, but what we had in our optics was different. I think they had something that played out in front of us, but what really probably happened is something probably totally different.
Hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because I've had some interaction with some of these people. Like one gentleman I know worked on the U2 spy program. And so I would get little tidbits over campfire meetings out in the desert sometimes. And so that's why I say it's going to get a hybrid vote, because what they play out in front of us versus what's really happened are two totally different things.
I would
Did
agree
it
with
actually
that.
happen? I'm sure that there probably was. But
Right. That's a very good point. And I think it's narrative control. I think the overall narrative was NASA screwed up, Elon saved the day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's
we know NASA now the running joke, even at the Skunk Works, is NASA stands for not a space agency.
right. Right. And you want to go further down the rabbit hole? Why does it always say T minus 10, T minus 9, T minus? Anybody have an idea on that?
I'm waiting to see what yours is, Sam.
So when you take NASA and add a T, what does it spell? Satan?
Ooh.
Ooh, dark, deep
Now-
rabbit hole.
Yeah, now you did touch on that was a conversation that was had
How
out
do you
in
get that
the
from-
desert. Yep.
Sam, where do you put the T? It's NASA. Where does the T go
I don't know. Where does it go?
to get that in there? Like, you have to rearrange all the letters.
Yeah, so.
You do. Yeah, you do. You actually that was actually a discussion that I had. This gentleman I actually worked with on a project. He was the project manager of the U2 spy program, and we had that very discussion out in the middle of an Arizona desert, discussing that very thing.
I don't think it's coincidental. I'm not saying for sure that means anything, but I'm just saying. T minus, where does that come? What does T minus stand for then? If it doesn't stand for something like that, I don't know.
Well,
Look at now.
Another going back to our moon conversation. So something I didn't bring up yesterday. Something that they could not have known until they spent an exorbitant amount of time in space was the effects of radiation, right? They have to shield the electronics from radioactive, EMPs, right? Basically, we know what happens when there's radioactivity to electronics. And what if the original film footage was destroyed because of radiation? now they do. So, okay, let's recreate it. I can buy that. So
I believe there's two places, radiation belts, right? Belts they label them, I think, that they have to go through to go out of our.
once you're outside of the atmosphere of the Earth, you're outside of the protection. So the aurora borealis, when we watch the northern lights, right?
Yeah.
Solar storms. That is basically massive radioactivity that is bombarding the atmosphere. And once you're outside of the atmosphere, all those protections are gone. So there is shielding inside of each craft that protects the occupants and the electronics from that. I mean, and the other things, like going back to what you talked about with the movie
Armageddon.
Armageddon, right? So the other laws of physics, like something in motion is going to remain in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. So it is possible for a toothpick to go completely through a tree if the velocity is there. So if you have something traveling through space, which is a vacuum, at hundreds of thousands of miles per second, it could be the size of a grain of sand, but it would literally go right through anything in its path. So, like, it's mind-boggling, right, for us that are not aerospace engineers and in the field and understand. And I think that's why there's hundreds of people on those teams, because not any one person knows everything that there is to know about trajectories and space and radiation. I mean, it's really impressive, guys. Those, just the math alone that those guys have to figure out to make gravitational loops around to sling the radios to clear out to Pluto, which damn it, Pluto is still a planet. I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Well, you know, and it's funny too, Alex, in that movie Armageddon, when Bruce Willis goes to NASA, and what does he say? He goes, "You guys are the smartest guys on the planet. You got teams backing up the teams that aren't, you know," he's saying you should have multiple teams backing up. And I think you're right. I think that historically, a lot of these organizations probably have the smartest people on the earth on these projects, like, say, military intelligence, for one.
Well, I'll concede. Our government lies.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say like the smartest liars on the planet is what I would say.
Sam, T minus stands for time minus.
Oh, time minus? Okay.
Time, it can be time minus or time remaining. Same thing.
Well,
Every mission, again,
Don the third G and a subscriber said it's just a letter in between to make sure the second goes by. Yeah, so basically that's what it is. Valerie James said television -3, television -2, television -1.
Oh my God, it's T minus because, again, going back to checklists, right? So those missions, like going back to pilots, Blue Angels, those guys sit in a room and they close their eyes and they visualize every single rotation move to do the synchronous moves and things that they do. And it's the same for these missions. They are planned out in books months and months and months ahead. At this very second, this switch gets flipped and this happens and that happens. And if for some reason I can't flip this switch, here's contingency 5, 6, 7, and 8. Like it's mind-boggling, guys.
I would agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Scratch, one of our subscribers said, supposed to be time minus. Yeah, so again, if you guys are on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out. If you'd like to contribute to our daily goal, I think we're doing friendship bracelets today. That would be wonderful. We're almost halfway to our goal. And if you are interested in joining as a subscriber, we do have them available now. And again, I want everybody to know, when you subscribe, I'm going to follow you. So it's the real me. It's not one of the 117 other Sam Shalhoubs out there.
117. Interesting numbers.
I know, I was going to say the same thing, Alex.
So gold hit $3,063 overnight last night.
Wow.
3,063. Currently, Bitcoin's up 3%. XRP's up 12% to 251.
Wow. Adam, what are your thoughts on the monetary switch?
on the monetary switch, we're sitting here. I'm actually still kind of looking at it from the standpoint of it's almost lagging, because what I'm expecting is a major move, and this is my own opinion, but I'm expecting a major move between gold, Bitcoin, and XRP. I would expect that gold, I would say 10,000 is not out of reach by any stretch.
Yeah.
And I think they're letting the narrative play it out. They're keeping it held back personally. But where we should see it with the gold, with silver, and now with Bitcoin, and particularly XRP, I think they're really just holding that toggle a little bit longer as it plays out for the normies.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're going to see the switch coming and coming soon. But again, are we looking at 10,000?
2nd of April.
Again, game theory and gaming it out. Like
Exactly.
you have to think of every possible scenario and how to make these. I mean, just the math behind what a monumental shift in movement. You know, they can flip things off, like turning off gold and turning on a keyboard that they can just generate. But to go the other direction, I think, is considerably more of a challenge to bring us back into balance. Then it's going to take time, and it's going to take adoption, and it's got to take the people being behind it and understanding why we're doing it. So I think that, you know, Sam talks about the precipice and an event, and I mean, it's going to be a combination of multiple things, I think, so that when it does happen, everybody goes, okay,
Right. Right.
it's close.
And I don't think any of us know the timing on that. What were you going to say, Adam?
I was just going to say, I don't think that it's coincidence at all that we have the completion of the release of the JFK files at the same time as we're in smack dab of what I would say there's probably two arguments that can be made here. That this economic switch has been 20 years in the making. Some will even contend that it's been since JFK's assassination in the making. But I think that it's, as we watch little by little, line by line, instead of dumping it on the public and causing mass hysteria. And you're right, Alex, there has to be calculations to let this out. And it's been a long plan in coming. Long plan. From what I've watched since I was a kid. I mean, I'm probably one of the young guys here. I'm in my mid-late 40s, but I mean, my mom taught me the Constitution since I was 12 years old because of my descendancy. And so, and my finding out what my father did in the Navy after he passed. And there is no coincidences here, people. I don't believe in coincidences at all.
I agree.
I do see a lot of calculated release, and you see the massive turns politically, economically, and now the swell, and we're hitting critical mass, if you will, or probably just for it to hit the public.
Right. Right.
And I think the next 6 months are going to be ridiculously awesome.
I agree. And I think that revaluation, and another thing I want to bring up, all of the narrative, all of the repeated narratives about Fort Knox for weeks, and then crickets. Why? Are they building up to something? Have they pulled back because they realize?
I think Trump grabbed the sheets and pulled them up, and the lights hit on, and all the cockroaches scattered. Dana Mackey said, will gold be revalued? It has to. Our federal government right now values the gold at $42 an ounce.
Yep.
When the market is saying, well, it's $3,000 an ounce. And I would argue that because you have the ability between large institutions to trade paper gold in the form of gold futures and gold securities and gold, that even that $3,000 price is heavily suppressed, because if the American people or the world saw gold shoot to $30,000, right, they're going to go, holy crap, there's something wrong, because it's not the fact that gold is worth more, it's that the dollar is worth less. The dollar has lost 97, my opinion, not just my opinion, lots of people saying, look at the numbers, TikTok, calm down, that 97%. So what you could purchase with your dollar is only worth 3% now than what it was back in the 30s, right? So since the Depression, which was the start of it all, and that was orchestrated too, in my opinion.
Right. I agree 100%. It has much more to do with the devaluation of the dollar's buying power than it does anything else. And where does that stem back to? 1913. Go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just going to say, it's like, I think, again, we're kind of holding those reins back a little bit because, again, to complement what you just said, Alex, was that if that was all released tomorrow, what it would do to the market due to the options positions, the bond positions, shorts, the longs, people's portfolio, we don't want to crash this market and this economy. You've got to control that as it comes out, because if all of a sudden you go from $40 an ounce or $42 an ounce to $3,000 an ounce, do you know the short squeeze that would happen immediately and the market would go to zero that fast? Everything's kind of being controlled, but there is going to come a point when, sorry, you either are on the right train or you're not, and it is quickly approaching.
Oh, the train's already left the station.
Yes, it has.
If you're not on the train, you're running beside it trying to get on because it's coming. We have seen the largest transfer of wealth in human history.
Well,
in
there's
the
a
last
reason why
4 years.
640 planes came,
Right.
His phone rang. He's
Oh,
good.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me do a little house cleaning here, guys. Double tap that screen on TikTok. Share this live out. If you can contribute to our daily goal of friendship bracelets, that would be wonderful. And yes, we do have subscriptions now. And yes, it's the real me following you back when you do subscribe to this channel.
So that was, my phone rang and I had to dismiss it.
No big deal. So let me do a little more house cleaning here, you guys. We have Jason Keener's agreeing, saying yes, right on. Carlos Andreas saying, oh my God. We have Carlos saying, take the stocks back. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about that hypothecation of the stock market. Carlos saying, fix the economy. Yeah, I agree. And Carlos he said, I'm so dumb, I know. No, you're not dumb. People are learning at their own rate. Just because we have been in this for decades doesn't mean that we're smarter than you. It just means that we have more experience. It's going to take time to be brought up to speed. Guys?
No, Mr. Green said we need wealth redistribution through taxation. I want you to go do a little research on the countries that have sovereign wealth funds and look at how they redistribute the wealth of the country. Look at how Alaska, because of the wealth that the state generates, the redistribution back to its residents based off of the profits made from the resources that are brought out of that state. That's going to happen, and it happens without taxation on us, the people, right? So do a little homework, guys.
Adam, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say the example was Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia and all of those countries over there. I mean, how do you think that they have tigers in the back of Lamborghinis and they're stacked up and they have zero taxation?
Zero taxation, and they have zero homeless people on the streets, folks.
That's correct. That is correct, because I've been there and I've walked those streets in Dubai.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you something right now. And the thing about it is they protect their people. They take care of their people. You go to a hospital in Dubai, it is like going to the headquarters, and it is, ironically enough, right next door to the Dubai headquarters of Rolls-Royce. You get 5 diamond service at those hospitals.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
point well taken. All right, so let's talk about the last subject for today, you guys. The JFK files being released.
Unredacted, almost. Almost. There was some
We know
redaction.
you were hoping for that, Alex. We know that you were hoping for that.
There was some redaction, but at least it wasn't 3,000 pages of just black ink.
Right.
Well, the 2,500 pages that are coming forward after the 8,000 pages or 80,000 pages, that's probably going to be the redaction. So I did bring that up earlier to Sam, and with you in mind, and I was kind of sorrowful that you weren't with us, and then I was happy to see you join. Art Schlesinger was the personal assistant to JFK. And if you got to that part in the 80,000 pages, and I assume with last night's events, you didn't have the opportunity, but 15 of his pages, yeah, I know, you probably did anyway. 15 of his pages were redacted. So I don't know if you were referring to that part of it, but I found that part to be very interesting because Art Schlesinger, he tried to let the cat out of the bag.
Alex?
Yes, and you've got memos from certain people who are very concerned that the assassination of Lee Harvey Oswald was going to make the public distrust the narrative, and like, oh my God, dude, it's gonna be months before I'll be able to make it through all the content. Thank God for platforms like this and people like Sam that go out and critical think and peruse through and grab the nuggets and share them with us. But I mean, guys, this is just one of multiple events, I think, of transparency that are coming this way. And when we start to get the truth and that train gets to chugging down the track, accountability comes, right? So continue to give us the files, continue to give us the transparency, continue to line them up for the ones that are still around that could be held accountable for all of the things that we're waiting for disclosure on.
Right. David?
No, I agree with that. I think the evidence definitely pointing the way we all knew and figured it would be pointing. Obviously, it's not the smoking pew pew, but it's definitely pointed in the right direction, and we knew exactly how it was going to work out.
Exactly.
And how it's showing.
The D-class isn't for us. It's
Right.
not for us. It's not for those of us that have questioned it all the time. It's not for those of us that our pronouns are "I told you so."
I have that shirt too.
Right? So it is just another step in getting people that, you know, have for 50 years said, "Oh God, there's no way. There's no way." Well, I mean, talk to Woody Harrelson. What role did his father play in all this? Like, folks, there are a bunch of nuggets inside of these documents.
Adam?
Somebody just posted in the thing about breaking news at the CIA headquarters in Virginia. Shots fired outside, area locked down.
Interesting.
So is this another deflection at this point?
Suppression.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm waiting to see because I haven't even begun to really dig deep into it yet. But I know Kash Patel said, you know, you guys are missing even the juiciest parts. What you guys have suspected for all those years that have been chasing us, you guys are pretty much right on. You're missing what the juiciest parts are of the whole thing. And that's what I'm after because, you know, ironically enough, I'm waiting to see what Bob and his son Peter Mayhew's involvement were, if you guys know who they are. Bob Mayhew was loosely based, Mission Impossible was loosely based on him. And he was the alter ego to Howard Hughes for many years. And he was an FBI agent that came in and was there at the creation of the CIA and witnessed all of that and saw that both Hillary Rodham Clinton and George H.W. Bush were both card-carrying communists at that inception. So I'm going to be very curious to see how that all played out because, yes, we know that we know now that George Bush was in the middle of it as well. So I want to know what
this money back to Standard Oil.
You got that right.
Yeah. The rabbit hole goes deep, to say the least. But again, and I also find it interesting from what little I did read last night and this morning, it looks like there is a pointed connection between the three-letter agency that was involved and Israel. And when that particular information sharing relationship gets exposed, I think we're going to see that's one reason why that particular country was left for last.
We're saving Israel for last.
Exactly. Hey, good morning, Crystal. Glad you could make it. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I think there's a lot of good things happening. I think buckle up, have your tray tables and your seat backs in their up and locked position because it's on and we're moving in that direction. All right, you guys, let's do
between your legs.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do final thoughts here. Adam, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think we've seen more in the last 60 days than I've probably seen in the last 6 years. And I am excited to see where it's going. Every day it is one thing after another. But I think when we finally get down the road here, those that have even been questioned it's not going to be a question in their mind anymore.
Right. Exactly. James?
You know, there's one thing after another is right. Adams he hit the nail on the head. One of the things that we didn't talk about today was whether or not the Fed was going to raise or lower the interest rate. I'm very curious about that. That's going to happen in about 40 minutes. With everything that's going on between NASA, the JFK files, now the Fed deciding what's going to happen, and you scratch your head, but you still go on about the day. And I think the less I watch the news channels on television, the happier I am.
Yeah. David?
Just excited about the future. We'll see what happens here. Take a wide angle lens on what's happening. Don't just jump in on one narrative. Just watch what everybody's doing and what happens. I think, like we said, the lights are coming on and the cockroaches are scrambling at this point.
Yep. Alex?
Completely off all the topics that we've been talking about. I've seen the comments and the questions, and of course you guys asked, how's my mom doing? The prayers are with us, and I want you all to know that it's felt, it's appreciated, and time's the only thing you can't make more of, so enjoy what you've got. And my mom said last week, it's life. Nobody gets out alive.
Right. Very words of wisdom. So everybody on this live, thank you for joining us. We wouldn't have this live if it wasn't for you. Adam, welcome. We hope that we'll see you again. Dave, as always, James, you guys are great. Alex, as everybody has said, prayers to everyone. I hope everyone has a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning. And in the meantime, hang in there. Things are about to get really, really good. Thanks, everybody.
They're holding a conference right now. Everybody tune in.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
God bless America.
Amen.